Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy Wednesday, great girlfriends. OMG. I am super, okay, here, I got a ton of feelings going right now. Super nervous, super excited, anxious, and curious because in light of Mother's Day approaching us on Sunday, I thought it would be so wonderful to have my amazing daughter, Dylan Amuti, interview me today for the podcast. Yes! Clap it up for yourself. This is when you do the good job. Right. Okay. And so I'm so nervous because, right, kids can ask anything and you're like, oh, you're going to ask that question. Okay. I'm excited because I feel like there's so many things that we talk about privately that we get to talk about publicly. And I'm curious because I want to know what's on your mind. And so, you know, moms, if you ever want to get in the hot seat, you don't need to have a podcast to do it. You literally can just set up a camera, and a tripod and have your kids interview you. I also think that this is a great way, Dylan, for us to have on record so many things that we feel about each other, so many things that we'll want to reference later. When you are an adult, we'll have this for an eternity as one of the many moments that we'll have together. And as you start to introduce your mindful minute on the podcast, which I'm super excited about, I'm just happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
So let me give you a bit of her bio. Dylan Amuti is 11 years old. She's a daughter. She's a student. She's an artist. She is a former solo singer.
No.
She's a house dancer.
No.
She's a little sister to her big brother Samuel. She is a very, very spirited young girl. She's also a writer because you do write some really amazing songs. Like, you write verses that I think are wonderful. I love your art so much, and I'm hopeful that you'll continue to go into art. I keep trying to tell her to sell it, but she's like, no, I'm an artist. I don't want to sell my art. I just want to express, right?
I don't sound like that.
Okay. Well, she just likes to express in art, and I really want her to like make money in it, but due season, right? But on top, and she's a businesswoman. She has a few businesses that she has kicked off this past year that I'm excited about and happy about. And above all, she is like the beat of my heart. When I tell you that Dylan Amuti is the most wonderful young woman I've ever known in my entire life. And I'm old enough to have known a lot of young women, but Dylan, none of them can touch you. Literally, there is no girl, woman, human person that I think, I'm going to stay in the girl lane because I got to always respect Sam's space, that could compare to who you are and what you mean to me. And honestly, being your mother, and I mean this, I know I've told you, but being your mother is such a gift to me. I'm just always excited. I'm like, how can I just like get you where you want to be in life and make sure I'm not getting in the way and like give you the tools you need to just always blossom, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's who Dylan Amuti is. And she is a rising 7th grader. She's entering middle school. So shout out to you, Dylan.
And one thing that you didn't include is that I'm also your favorite child. It's been on record,
so,
Mom. You've told me multiple times.
About that.
Just don't.
Right. And so as much as I want to give you that honor as favorite child, I have to give you the honor as my favorite girl child. And there is no other girl child that could compare to you because you are my favorite of girl children. All right. So Dylan is going to take over the interview and I'm going to take on all the questions. Are you ready, Dylan?
Yes.
Are you excited? You can just lean right on into the microphone. Are you excited?
Yes.
Okay. So you got cameras looking at you from every direction, but most of all, the beat of your heart right here. You can keep your eyes on me. All right, let's go.
So my first question is like, who was your childhood best friend?
Wow. Is this a trick question?
No.
Okay. This is interesting. So I had many childhood best friends, but I know the one that she probably wants me to talk about is the one. I knew this was a trick. So I was a child that had an imaginary friend. And my childhood best friend, from probably age, let's see, age where you can remember best friend, let's go like 3, 4, 5, up to probably like 6, 7, was my imaginary friend Ruby. And Ruby, why Ruby? Because my mom had friends named Ruby. She had 2 friends named Ruby. There was one friend she had from high school named Ruby, and then there was a lady that lived up the street from us named Ruby. And they were both very cool women who had like Camaros in the 80s, and that was like a cool car. And they had like snazzy, cool haircuts, and I just liked them. And so I named I named my imaginary friend Ruby, and she was my bestie because I have 2 older sisters, Leslie and Minthia, and my Minthia's 3 years older than me, Leslie is 7 years older than me, and they were in different worlds from me, and so I really didn't have anyone in the house to relate to. Even though they were my sisters, they were still just in different age groups from me. So there you have it. Ruby was my first best friend.
And how old was Ruby?
Oh, okay. So there it is. So Ruby was a woman and I was a kid. And like in my imaginary mind, I was an adult like Ruby.
I'm not laughing at you.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not laughing at you.
No, but it's okay because I mean, there's a lot of parents out there who are like, okay, my kid my kid is talking to a wall. Having an imaginary friend for me gave me friendship when I needed it. And I've always been, and it's so interesting because in my work now in brand strategy, I create what I want to see. When I don't see it, I just create it. And it might not be real to other people until you bring it to life, right? And so Ruby became a fixture in my household. And my sisters knew, my parents knew I had a friend named Ruby. And they used to make fun of me for having an imaginary friend, but I didn't care because I didn't want to. I protected my my friendship with Ruby, and I didn't care that they laughed at me. And so, if there's a parent out there who's listening or watching, and your kid has an imaginary friend, let it flow. Don't torment them. Just let it be. They'll be fine. Look at me. I came out okay. I have real life friends now.
Yeah. I had an imaginary friend and that you didn't know about.
Clearly.
Yeah, it was a zebra, a unizebra, and so I never told anybody because I thought if I told you, somebody would come and try and kill my unizebra.
And you thought that because
it was a unizebra. It was a very rare breed, okay? and so the zebra's name was Zambi. And yeah, and so I would talk to him in secret. Like, you guys never knew about him.
Oh my goodness.
At all. No.
How old were you?
I was like 6.
Oh my goodness. Where is Zambi now?
He's in a magical forest. So
when did you send Zambi away?
I do not know.
Interesting. Look at that. There you heard it first on the Great Girlfriends podcast. How wonderful is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I never told anybody because unizebra, I was like, I do not want my best friend to be killed.
Yes. But you know what? Here's the deal with imaginary friendships. If it makes sense to you, if it gives you a place where you can connect and you feel whimsical and you're having fun and you kind of escape some of the things that you don't want to be a part of or like you don't want to participate in, then it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So my second question is, what was your favorite place as a kid and what is your favorite place now?
Ooh. My favorite place as a kid, like physical destination or?
Physical destination, yeah.
I love the park. Like, and now I still love going outdoors, but my favorite place as a kid was like to be outside at the park, like with my sisters or with my dad or playing around. Like the park for me, open air, I love nature. I love digging up dirt and sticks and finding things and exploring and learning more about like, you know, land and terrain. Like I've always loved that stuff. And so that was my favorite place. And, you know this, but my father, your grandfather, your G-dad, is from Mississippi. And so on Sundays, we would go out to what we call the country, which was a town, Olive Branch, Mississippi, which at the time was about 45 minutes an hour from where we lived. But now there's lots of infrastructure. It's probably 30 minutes from my parents' house. But I mean, you're talking about a good 100 acres of land that we could just, I mean, we didn't explore all 100, don't get me wrong, but we spent a lot of time exploring and going through the woods and picking up sticks and finding random, bugs and making mud pies and just doing all the, like, getting very gritty and dirty. I always loved that. And like my favorite place today, oh my goodness, would probably be the beach. I can never get enough of watching the ocean. I love the smell of the beach. I know people hate it.
I love like the salty smell in the wind
Yes.
and like how cold it gets when you're near there.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like when you get close to the ocean and the beach, you can smell it and the air just starts to get a little more crisp. And I really love that smell. I love the texture of the sand. I like sand between my toes. I like sand in my hair. I like having to come home and take off all the stuff in the sand. I love the experience of lying on the beach and the waves crashing in. Like, I can't get enough. The ocean is so symbolic for me. And I really, really, like when I'm there, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like I get a clearer picture on abundance. And so I really appreciate, I don't spend enough time by the ocean. Obviously, you know
I've been
this.
wanting to go to
I've
the
been
beach
trying to get
for-
to the beach for a while, which is crazy because it's 30 minutes away. But that is by far any ocean, any city, any country. I want to see the ocean. Yeah.
Okay. My the third question, because I've asked you two. My third question is, why are you really obsessed with crime documentaries and crime drama TV?
Way
and
to
all that
expose
stuff?
your mom. Yeah.
No, I'm not exposing you. It's just like that's your thing. Like,
That's my thing. Why am I am obsessed with crime documentaries. Okay, I am obsessed. And it doesn't have to be like Snapped or stuff like that. Like, I love Dateline. I love anything true crime. I love shows and podcasts that are true crime. I as a kid always loved books that were crime series and investigative books. I think it's because it's a world that I am so unfamiliar with. And I am not likely, all prayers go up, not likely to ever go to jail. If I go to jail, just know someone threw me and I threw them back. Okay?
okay.
Or someone touched my kid. I'm not likely to go to jail. I got a few reasons that I would go to jail. I'm not likely to go to jail. I'm not likely to live a life of crime. I'm not likely to live in the underworld. I'm not likely to be on the dark web. I'm not likely to be in these, in the CIA or, go overseas in the military because, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with anything CIA, anything that is remotely involved with international crime and foreign affairs. I love it. I'm not likely to ever be involved in that world, yet I'm so curious about it. And so I like that these shows explore conspiracy theories and make them come to life. And so I'm obsessed with the undercurrent of it all. Like there's an entire world of things that are happening or could be happening around us that I'm a part of, but I'm not aware of. So for me, it's a cool way for me to take a peek into another side of the world and not really dabble into it. And when I watch Dateline and they all end the same way on insurance fraud because some guy married a young chick and then she killed him and took all his money and went off to Mexico, came back to Arizona. It's the same thing over. And when I see all these stories, I'm like, there's a trend here. Do people not realize that the young lady is likely getting with you for insurance money and she's going to take everything? But okay, rock with it for a minute. So that for me is why I love them.
So another question I have is, what did you think of Dad when you first met him?
Ooh, what did I think of your dad when I first met him? Okay. I laugh because it's so interesting. When I first met him, he was coming, I was sitting in a chair in an office building. I was at his job, right? And so when I first met him, he was coming down a long corridor, a very long hall, and I could see him from afar through the glass doors. And so as I'm sitting and I'm watching him walking, I'm thinking, oh, that's probably Kwaku. And so I'm watching him walk, and he had on a pink, like a let's go like an Easter pink button-down shirt. And the shirt was like probably unbuttoned to here where my shirt is unbuttoned, which is like office inappropriate, right? Shirt is like completely unbuttoned like this. Like, so I was thinking, oh, he's the office gigolo. That's what I first thought. I was like, oh, what guy goes to work with his shirt unbuttoned like this and, 5 buttons unbuttoned and is walking like that? When I saw him, this is what I thought. All the thoughts. I was like, he is super handsome and like, ooh, his shirt is unbuttoned, but he must be the office gigolo. And why doesn't he have an undershirt on? Because I was like, he should have an undershirt on. He's at work. These are things that were going through my mind because it was a long walk. But as he got closer, I was like, oh, he is really cute. Look at him. He's got like this boy face. And he was like, he had no facial hair. So I was like, he was like young, like very like boyish charm. And like his whole chest was out and his chest was incredibly chiseled. Yeah. That's what I thought about him. I was like, oh, hey, boy toy, office gigolo, but I'm going to talk to him. Yeah.
What did you guys do on your first date?
Dills. Oh, my goodness.
I know.
I thought you knew this story.
I know like small bits of it. You've never told me the full thing.
We went, so on our first date, he was at work and he was on a lunch break. And my roommate was his boss at the time. And my roommate said, who was the one who introduced us and said, let's go on this blind date. Introduced us for the blind date, said, why don't you go check out the new Mac computers at J&R Computer World, which was a electronics place in New York City at the time. And so, and Kwaku, Great Girlfriends, is completely obsessed with Mac products. At the time, he didn't own one. He didn't have a Mac computer. Actually, he may have had a very old one. But Mac was really starting to like rebrand everything, and they were introducing new computers, new monitors, and he was completely obsessed. And I didn't know this about him. So we go to J&R Computer World, and we're on the escalator, and he goes, after you, like ladies first. And so I get on the escalator, and I'm like, he's looking at my butt. Let me like lean on the escalator and, like lean and posture like, yep, he's looking at my butt. I know he is. And we get up the escalator and he's like, wow, oh my gosh. And I was like, yep, he's talking about me. And I turn around to him and he's like, it's the new Mac G7 4712 XLR computer. And I was like, really? You've got me riding on the escalator in front of you, but you're obsessed with a computer? And so we spent like a good 30 minutes looking through Mac computers at J&R Computer World, and then we walked around Battery Park, and then we went to Starbucks because he hadn't eaten at the time. He didn't have his lunch. He hadn't eaten lunch, and I was leaving, and then we went back to his office, and he went back to work, and I went home.
So after the first date, what did you think?
I was very curious, and the reason why was because he walked me to the subway. And he was like, it was so great to meet you. It was great. I had fun and all these things. And I was like, yeah, me too. And I'm thinking, okay, ask me for my number. And he was just standing there like, yeah, this was great. I was like, I'm going to miss the train. Ask me for my number so I can go. And he was not. And I was like, why don't I said, here, take my, why don't I give you my number? No, I said, we should keep in contact. That's what I said. And he says to me, this is the moment, the dorkiest, one of his many dorky moments, but they all worked. He goes, well, we've got that Todd connection. And he points finger guns at me. Bam. He hit me with the finger guns. And I was stunned with the finger guns. And I was like, oh my goodness, he just shot me with finger guns, but I'm still giving him my phone number. And I did. I was like, well, here's my number. Let's keep in contact. And that was how we began to communicate.
Dad, if you're watching this, wow. Wow.
Finger guns. We've got that Todd connection. And that's literally what he said to me. 2002 and Todd connection and finger guns.
That was
But it was cute. It was very cute. It was very dorky. And I was like, okay, here's my number. Gotta go.
wow, Dad. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I mean, this is the deal. Your person won't like the packaging, the conversation flow, all the things. They're not going to always be like so fluid and cool.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely wasn't like super cool. He was just very much like fun. And
I just thought he would have done something better like that. He would have been like, "Hey, let me give you my number before you go," or like something better than we got that Todd connection. Like
that's all he had. And he worked it. He did. He was like, this is going to be it. And it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. We've been together now 21 years. We've been married for 17 years.
Okay,
It worked.
How you've been married 21 years?
No, we've been married 17. So it worked.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You see me defending my man.
Okay, so my next question is, like, what gave you the idea to start the Great Girlfriends?
Ooh, so the Great Girlfriends. I love that. Part of the reason that the Great Girlfriends was started was because during that time frame that we were in San Diego and back and forth to New Jersey a lot, I wasn't able to mentor girls the way, you say girls, but young women who were junior in their career, et cetera, the way that I had done before. So I used to do office hours and have people come and, we would hang out and, mentorship and things like that. And I wasn't able to do it as much because of the travel schedule. And so I felt guilty about that and I wanted to create a solution. And at the time, I was in conversation with your auntie Brandis and talking to her about like schedule and all the things that were going on and not having enough time. And she was saying the same thing. And I said, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And she was like, yes, I would love to partner on that. And that was the beginning of what it was, which was let's take all the questions that we get from our mentees and let's answer them on this podcast. And so we went to Houston's, which was right by my old office, and we would meet for lunch, and we would just sit down and write down like, all right, these are the things that come up with her mentees. These are the things that come up with my mentees. Let's start to formulate all these questions. And then we turned around one of those times at Hillstone, and there were three sisters. Well, we didn't know they were sisters, but there were three ladies that were sitting in a booth behind us, and we're like, they look like they would probably listen to our podcast. Let's ask them a few questions. So we went over to them. We did. So we went over and we're like, hi, I'm Sybil, I'm Brandis. We're starting a new podcast. And we want to know like what type of questions, you would want to ask a mentor. And so that we started talking, turned out they were sisters. We invited them on a Saturday to come up to my office and do a think tank session. And they sat with us and laid out all the questions and things they're going through. It was like a really fun brainstorming session and a focus group. That was our focus group. And so we formulated all of that and started the podcast. Mm-hmm. And so that was the beginning of the podcast. We didn't have a name in the first few episodes. We hadn't figured it out. None of the names that we would say out loud were sticking. It was like, hey, welcome to Girls Time. We're like, that's whack. That's like not like, it.
Hey, welcome to.
Yeah, and we were like, we don't like that, but let's leave it. We'll figure it out. Hey, welcome to Girls Now, Friendship Now. And we're like, this is lame. Like, this is not the move. And so over time, we got to the point where I kept saying, Brandis, Great Girlfriends. She was like, nope, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And by the time we gone through so many horrible names, she was like, yeah, let's let's do it. And it stuck.
How did you feel when Auntie Brandis wanted to leave the podcast to join her to start focusing more on her company?
Yes.
Were you
that's
sad?
Such a great question. Of course. I was so sad. I was happy. It was bittersweet. And here's why. Because we had such a fun and exciting, there I go boring you again. No, we had such a fun and exciting 4 years together. And it was so rewarding to have a friend who is like a sister. Literally, we share so much and would share clothes and earrings and travel together and speaking engagements together and do all these things together. I mean, prior to Great Girlfriends, we were always talking about HFR, and we were constantly working on, things that we needed to help make sure HFR was good. And so to pour that energy into a new brand was so exciting. So I was so excited to journey with Brandis because I trust and love her so much, and Rich and her entire family. So, and you know that because she spends so much time with you all. So I was so happy to have that time with her. However, I knew individually, she knew individually that her time was coming to an end, probably a year before it came to an end. However, I didn't feel like God was giving me the release to say, girl, your time is coming to it. Don't you feel like it's coming to an end? I didn't feel like I had that. And so I was just patient through the process. Meanwhile, there were lots of brand opportunities that were coming. We were talking about books. We were talking about shows. Things were happening. And I could feel her like emotionally vacating because she didn't have the words to say, I can't do this anymore. So because her time was being split too many different ways. And it is, you do come to a point where you have to focus your attention on the things that you need to move the needle on most. And Brandis has always been incredibly passionate about creating opportunities for designers of color in the fashion industry. So when it came to that period where we were having a conversation with the network about doing a show idea, and it was moving forward kind of, rapidly. And she was just like, I can't do it. It literally was that moment. We were sitting in her house and she was like, I can't do it. And I felt peace. I was sad because she and I would get on a mic and it just bam, but I understood. She was not saying I can't do us. She's like, I can't do this anymore because God was really pushing her and she needed to be 100% focused on HFR. And so, yeah, it was bittersweet. It was so sad. And for the first 6 months after, I was on the microphone don't know what to say because I don't have Batman is Mr. Robin, Robin is Mr. Batman. I didn't know what to say and how to get the words out clearly because I was so accustomed to us duoing and partnering and bantering together. And then so it made it very difficult for me at first to be like, okay, this is just take this solo experience. So I struggled with it at first and I was like, I don't even want to do the mic anymore. I just, but my passion is what leaves me here. This is where I'm at 100% passion. This is where I need to move the needle forward. And so that's why we had to part ways. And so many people would say, well, are y'all still friends? And I'm like, are we still friends? We are actually better friends now that we're free to be each other's allies and advocates and supporters and, purely just share sisterhood. And, Brandis not feel like she was pulled in different directions at the time and having to compromise her quality and her output. So, yeah. Okay, what's your next question?
How did you come up with my name?
Ooh, this interview has so much range. I'm like, wow. I'm so I love these questions because you've really been thinking about some of these. Okay, so coming up with your name was your name came to us. It was very simple when we found out that we were having a girl, and we were so happy. And we, at the time, before we had kids, we're like, oh, when we have kids, we're going to name them Chloe and Quinn. And
that's what Dad said he wanted to name.
That's what we were naming our girls. We're like, they're going to be Chloe and Quinn, and our son will be Samuel, the end. And then we were pregnant with you, and I was like, it's not Chloe or Quinn. It's not anymore. And I mean, probably about a month after we knew we were having a girl, it was literally during a prayer and quality time with God that I heard Dylan, and I'm like, Dylan, huh? Dylan was not on my radar. Let me look up Dylan and see what it means. And so I looked it up and it meant of the sea. And I was like, that's interesting. I wanted to feel the connection to of the sea. Why would we name our child Dylan of the sea? And so we sat with it for a while and we talked about it. And, Dylan just felt so natural and real to who you were. And Kyle came like that. I don't know where Kyle, and when I tell you I don't know where Kyle came from, it literally just dropped. It was like Dylan Kyle. Dylan Kyle. We never thought about another name. It was very, kind of like you are. You're very certain. And when you do things, it's not a maybe. There's some maybes, but for the most part, you're very yes or no, very much like black and white around things. And so there's not a lot of gray space. Your name hit very clearly, Dylan Kyle. And so that is really how we landed on it. And I'm still not clear on how the meaning has come to life. I don't want to make something up for you and be like, girl of the sea, because we were floating in this boat. And I don't want to do that to you. But that was just where we landed. And we wrote it down and we talked about it and we prayed over it and we were like, look at it on the wall. We're like, Dylan Kyle. And we announced it, Dylan Kyle Amuti. And we're like, oh, that has a feeling to it. That's an experience. And that was it.
Okay. So I was going to ask how you came up with my middle name. But my question is, how do you think Dad felt when he found out that he was having a girl?
Over the moon. Crazy. Like so excited. Probably nervous a bit because he grew up with he has a brother, right? So he grew up with just two boys in the household, and his only real experience with girls were either being his mom
or you
or dating, right? Well,
yeah.
Right. I like that. His mom and then me. We went from his mom's. There's some dating in between. Let's keep it 100.
I mean, I've never heard anything about it, so I don't
because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
None of it matters. But yeah. So he was probably a little nervous about like, what does it mean to be a father to a girl? He hadn't seen it. That's a different experience than dating and being parented by a woman and dating a woman. So I think there was a bit of nervousness, like what a girl needs versus boy needs. Are they the same? Mm-hmm. But also excited because I think that you brought a twinkle to his eye that he didn't necessarily have having a boy child. He had a different type of feeling, but having a girl was like a sparkly, twinkly, like this feathery type of feeling that he had in his heart.
Mm-hmm. And he was the first person I ever talked to.
That is true. He was the very first person you talked to.
Okay, how do you think Sam felt when he found out that he was having a sister?
Oh, he was super excited. Sam was excited. He was so anxious. Like, I mean, it was just like constant conversation, constant rubbing, constant talking to you, constantly. If he would eat something, he'd be like, I want this for me and one for the baby. And we'd be like, the baby can't eat right now, Sam. And he's like, it's okay. Just one for her. And one for everything became like, I'm about to be a big brother, my little sister.
He's probably like, eat this.
Yes. He was very much like, I will share. Like, he was prepared to share. He was prepared to like take you to the park, play with you. He thought I think he did think you were coming out ready made to play, like to be 4. A 2 to be his age. I don't think he thought, okay, she has to grow up. So he had to learn how to be patient with you as a baby, but loving you was no question. Mm-hmm. He hit hard. He did. He was like, I'm ready to love her. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he was excited.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I got to think of something. Okay. Who's your favorite like musician? Like, who's your favorite?
For real?
Stevie Wonder, but other than Stevie Wonder.
Other than Stevie Wonder?
Like who had to be your second favorite?
Oh my goodness. No.
Oh, okay.
They're so far down the list. Stevie Wonder by far.
He's just
favorite, icon, legend, all-time favorite. No one could compare. No one could come close. He is my absolute hands down. I like the honor I have for Stevie's music is unmatched. Unmatched.
Okay.
Yeah. You know this.
Ooh, yeah. It's fun. One time we were in church and he was there and I said, Mom, Stevie Wonder's here. She goes, what?
I know. I was like, what do you mean? Where? Like here? Like here? Like, oh my gosh. No, his music has transformed my life. It helped to keep me strong and sound when like my mind was just like all over the place in difficult times. His music has been a saving grace for me, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah, that's all the questions I had.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dylan, for coming on today.
No problem.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why do you love your mother?
That's a long list.
We'll go top 3.
Top 3. Okay. You're cool. You have a nice sense of fashion, and it's funny. And you're funny. You're just like funny. You're funny to laugh with, funny to laugh at. You're funny just all around.
Aw, thank you. What's my best joke?
No.
Gouda. Okay, she didn't want to
We
share.
we were in the grocery store once, and Mom got Gouda cheese, and she asked the grocer, she's like, "Is it Gouda?" And she waited for him to laugh, and he was like,
"Yeah, no, that's Gouda cheese." And he kind of kept it moving. I was like, "But is it Gouda? Like good Gouda?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Why do dads get dad jokes but mom don't have mom jokes? I don't think that's fair."
I don't know.
And now the kids hate when I say Gouda. That's
Because it's everything. You're like,
it's all Gouda. Casey's laughing. Riley's laughing because it's funny. How you doing today? Gouda. How are you?
I want to roll away in this chair right
You
now.
can't roll away. You would like wreck the setup. All right, Dylan, what is the most exciting thing in your life right now?
Probably, I don't necessarily know.
Okay.
Probably spring break,
Okay.
because it allowed me to get a lot more sleep.
Okay. That was exciting. How can moms be better moms to their daughters?
Maybe, and this is not specifically to you, but it can sometimes apply to you.
Okay.
Maybe, like, let her grow up.
Oh.
Like, I know she's your little munchkin, but still, you have to let her be able to grow up.
And what is that? What is it like? Let her grow up. What does that mean? That's very loaded.
It's general all around. Just let her grow up.
Okay. But how do you know when it's time to let a child grow up? Like, how do you prepare for that?
You don't necessarily have to prepare to it. You just have to adapt to it.
Look at you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let her
Just
grow
being
up.
deep.
Really? Okay, you don't have to prepare. You just have to adapt to it. How can moms let that, like, how can, as a mom, how can I always let you know I love you?
I mean, you just really have to show it, and you show it all the time, like all the time.
Whatever.
But like, you have to just be able to show it and like be able to let other people know, like you let your daughter know, like let everybody know that you love them.
How can moms be better listeners?
Maybe just finish hearing them out before you try to join in on the conversation.
Okay.
Like, let them like be able to express, and then you can express. Just let them finish talking.
Okay. Any other advice for moms?
No.
Learn to say no more, or
No, I'm saying no more advice. Yeah,
okay.
no.
Okay.
Yeah. Not learn to say no more.
Any advice for me?
Maybe try to convince Dad to let me have a yes day.
No. Okay. Where can people keep up with? I normally ask that question at the end, but do not follow her on social. Do not call or email about Dylan.
Yeah, I don't have social media.
She does not have social media. No, but Dylan, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Great Girlfriend community. You know, a big part of the Great Girlfriend brand is creating the type of DNA in community that you can walk into as a young woman, and that you can embody and you can utilize as a tool for the work you do when you grow up and you're moving in your purpose and your passion, and you think about the way you treat other women. So you really are the mold. You are.
Stop it.
You're the prototype, and I've learned so much about friendship with being your mom. I've learned so much about connection being your mom. I've learned so much about boundaries being your mom. I've learned so much about love, like how to love, and I've learned how to make mistakes and be more honest about it in the moment. Being vulnerable with you, like there's so many lessons we're learning together as you grow up and I'm growing up, and I've learned to accept the grace that you offer when you do, because sometimes moms can feel mom guilt for just all the things that we do and we don't do or didn't do enough of and all this stuff. But you're a very gracious daughter, and you have extended so much grace to me, and I've learned to accept that so that we can move forward and always have a warm relationship. And even when we go through rocky times like grief, that was very hard. And moving twice in 9 months from Memphis to LA, from New Jersey,
From New Jersey to Memphis to LA.
Yeah, from New Jersey to Memphis, Memphis to LA. That is not hard on a child. I mean, that is not easy on a child. Like, if it's hard on an adult, it's probably 5 to 10 times harder on a child. But your resilience and your strength and your honesty with us, because you're always like, guys, you're a C right now. You need to be an A. Like, you've had these hard conversations with us. Help us to navigate as we start making other decisions going forward. And you never hold grudges with us. You might take notes, copious notes, but you don't hold grudges. You give us the space as parents to make mistakes. And so I appreciate that, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm figuring this thing out choice by choice. You know that, right?
Yes.
You know that you're my first daughter and my last daughter.
Yes. Hopefully, yes.
Yes, hopefully. Absolutely. So I just appreciate that about you. And hopefully we'll get to share many more podcast moments together. Thank you for being my girl daughter.
No problem.
I love you.
Of course.
My girl daughter. I know. I was hoping you would catch that.
Like, what?
I appreciate you and I love you.
Love you too.
Yay. Aw. That is the first time I've ever gotten a kiss from a guest. How sweet is that? I appreciate
Not
that.
Dad?
Too. He didn't kiss me when he came by. He
Wow.
just right. But you, my
He
first.
needs to take it up a step.
That was my first on podcast kiss. That was lovely. Thank you, Dills.
Love you, Mom.
Great girlfriends. Hopefully this episode opened the door to connection time with your daughter, your moms. I'm actually going to take some time to record conversations with my mom and get on record, her thoughts, her feelings about this stage of life and things that she remembers that she wants to share or things she appreciates. And I want to encourage every single one of you, if you are in a mom or even a guardian relationship, to just sit down and take all the questions in and have these conversations and enjoy the experience of hearing like your daughter or your child's heartbeat or your son's heartbeat, because there's so much that I appreciate about just hearing Dylan's perspective and hearing the things that she's asking me, and her putting me under the bus for having an imaginary friend and all those things. So take the time to do that. And this Mother's Day, celebrate the gift of being a guardian, of having the joy of influencing and guiding someone's life, and just the blessing that it is. Even if you didn't birth a child, if you are even godmother, supportive mom, auntie mom, all the roles, because there's so many roles that women play that are that are motherly. So I just want to honor every single person or woman that is playing a motherly role in anyone's life and celebrate you and say Happy Mother's Day in advance. And thank you for listening to this week's episode. I love you, Dylan.
Love you too, Mom.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, great girlfriends. It's me, Dylan, with the Motivational Minute. Today's quote is, "You don't have to be serious all the time to do a good job," by Simone Biles. So I feel like that quote means that you should loosen up and be able to have fun and be able to just chill out. Don't have to be serious all the time. Just make sure that you're serious in the right times. This has been your Motivational Minute. I'm Dylan. Bye.
All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast?
If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends, follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends, and on Twitter at @the_great GFS. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.